We've reached the point now for closing statements. Each of the candidates will get 2 minutes to make their final remarks, and it will be done in the reverse order of the opening statements. So, Joe, you get to go first.
Thank you, Ray. Again, I want to thank the Norwich Bulletin and Eastern Connecticut State University for hosting tonight's debate, which I think is going to give people certainly an opportunity to think through their choice in the next 12 days. This country and this state has gone through an unbelievably challenging time over the last 2 years. My office has been connected to the challenges that industries, families, individuals have faced in this district, and I have worked as hard as I could to protect people in terms of their employment, whether it's the shipbuilder in Groton, the lobsterman in Stonington, the dairy farmer in the northeastern part of the state of Connecticut. I reconstituted the Congressional Dairy Caucus to get emergency assistance, and we didn't lose a single dairy farm despite the fact that prices crashed to their lowest level in our lifetime. We worked with small businesses in terms of getting access to credit, which the TARP banks outrageously will not provide to many of their long-term customers with impeccable credit. But we clearly, and certainly protecting students and families, some of the kids who attend this college and universities, by, again, spearheading the work on Pell Grant reform through the College Cost Reduction Act, the Student Aid and Fiscal Responsibility Act, the post-9/11 GI Bill, which, again, has opened the doors of not just education, but life opportunity because of that work. But obviously, we have much work still to accomplish. As someone who, again, is on the Education Committee, prepared to take on the challenge of reforming No Child Left Behind, which is a front burner issue for the next Congress. And I am somebody who believes in my heart we can come up with a balanced, intelligent system to try and start producing college-ready students that our country obviously desperately needs, that we need to, again, continue the work to reform our energy policy to grow that huge potential for Connecticut and for our country, and obviously to continue the work on the Armed Services Committee to make sure that these critical jobs in Eastern Connecticut are going to be protected. I am grateful every single day for having the opportunity to represent the people of this district.
Thank you.
And I ask for your support on November 3rd to continue the work that all of us have worked so hard over the last 2 years.
Janet.
Thank you. It's November 2nd. You're thinking ahead, Joe.
You should have told him before.
Listen, we need to restore common sense. Common sense that says you should read a bill before you vote on it. Common sense that says there should be term limits because career politicians like Mr. Courtney got us into this mess. Common sense that says when things get bad for business, government needs to get out of our way. We need common sense in Washington. We need independent voices who speak for the people of Eastern Connecticut, not for their political party. The incumbent Joe Courtney is a nice guy, but he's a government guy. We've been paying his meal ticket his whole adult life. He says he's independent, but he votes with Nancy Pelosi 98% of the time. I don't agree with anybody that often. That's not independence, and that's not leadership, Joe, and that's not the voice of the 2nd District. My plan is simple. We have a spending problem, not a revenue problem. The federal government will take in $2.4 trillion in revenue this year and plans to spend $3.7. We have to set spending priorities and stick to them. You can't grow the economy by raising taxes, by the way. Congressman Courtney's vote to adjourn so he could come home and campaign to keep his job means that he voted a huge tax increase on every one of us who works starting on January 1st. Thanks, Joe. Health care reform. We need something, but this plan brought to you by Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, and Joe Courtney is all wrong for Connecticut. The biggest problem, it's too expensive. It will actually increase our costs, despite what we've been hearing from Washington. We need health care, but not fake reforms. Your health insurance shouldn't be dependent on your employer. I want to make the process of buying health insurance as easy as buying car insurance. Health insurance should not reject you because you're sick or kick you off if you get sick. It should cost less. That means increasing competitiveness. Ladies and gentlemen, we can take back our country and get it on the right track. If you like the job that's going on in Washington and what Congressman Courtney's been doing, you'll vote for him. If you don't, you have alternatives.
And Scott.
Although we may look like Jeopardy contestants, this isn't a game. This isn't a game of political slogans, expensive advertising, and blind party loyalties. Far too much is at stake. The world is changing much faster than our incremental two-party Congress can adapt to it. And history has shown that the kinds of systemic changes that I've been talking about on my website and political reformations needed to save America have never come from within the corporately controlled two-party establishment and never will. The nations that lead the world in clean alternative energy will be the powerful nations of the 21st century, and we're woefully behind China, Germany, and other countries mentioned tonight. The problems before us are all complex, all require scientific expertise to solve, and are numerous and so critical that policymakers who lack at least some scientific knowledge are a national liability. We have to decide between two choices. My candidacy, I'm a biologist and ecologist, trained to deal with a lot of these problems, versus guaranteed continuation of the same old dysfunctional status quo responsible for our crises. Either the ship of state and our economy go crashing into the hillside, or the Green Party and I, fighting for you in Congress, landed safely on the Hudson. If you believe in ending the wars now and bringing the troops home and reducing our military, then I'm your candidate. If you believe in single-payer universal health care, then I'm your candidate. If you believe in creating green alternative energy jobs and full employment in the United States, then I'm your candidate. If you believe in breaking up the big banks so Wall Street doesn't collapse again and restoring Glass-Steagall, then I should be your congressman. The time is long overdue for a strong third-party presence in Congress and a progressive movement to save America. Let history show that it began here. Tonight, I ask for your vote, and together, make no mistake about it, we can win November 2nd.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congressman, in a minute. Congressman Courtney, Ms. Peckinpah, and Scott Dusheffe. We want to thank you for participating tonight and taking part in this important discussion. I want to thank Reese and Olivia for the timing. I want to thank Diane and Judith for their questions. Most of all, I'd like to thank you for coming out tonight and giving the respect and courtesy to these candidates so that they have an opportunity to talk about it. President Nunes, your staff here is absolutely wonderful. They made tonight the easiest one I've ever done. And vote November 2nd. Thank you. Have a pleasant evening.